So today we have a very good friend of mine, Malcom X.
How you doing, everybody? I'm glad to be here.
Yes, I'm so happy you were able to join. When I had this idea, like this vision in mind, you were one of the first people that came to mind. So I'm really happy that you were able to join. For this interview, I really want us to, we're speaking definitely about mental health and different aspects of it, but I really want to speak on it as far as the power in having an outlet and, a platform. So I think that a huge part in maintaining good mental health is having an outlet. And there are so many different outlets. But you specifically, you have Urban X TV, you have your Urban X podcast, you have your blog, and you just have a lot going on. So you have the shirt going on. I use this mug at least every day because I drink tea all the time now. And so I want to hear more about that. Like, how did you come up with creating this whole entire Urban X platform?
So, interesting. So, I want to say between my freshman year and sophomore year at college, like I said, I played football my first year in college, and that was from like years from playing Pop Warner in high school, 4 years. So that was my last year actually playing football. So that I was very sad. That was a big transition. So I was kind of going through it, and then during the transfer school process, anybody that's transfer colleges, that's a lot as well. So I didn't know what my school situation was going to be. So I was down when it came to that. Like I'll be honest. So my mother, she gave me a book like years prior when I was still in high school by Hill Harper called Letters to a Young Brother. And she gave it to me, and I said, I'm gonna read it, but I wasn't like a real avid reader in high school like I am now. So like only in high school, I would just read for the assignment. Like if it was a chapter, I would just read that chapter and put the book away. But I had a lot of free time that summer because it was hard for me to get a job too, like a summer job. It was like the weirdest thing. So I just had a lot of time, and then I just said, you know what, I'm gonna read. So I read that book, and then if anybody's familiar with his letters series, like he has Letters to a Young Sister, Letters to a Young Brother. He's kind of talking to this imaginary young mentee that he has, and he designs it to where he's kind of talking to you. So it was great because a lot of the issues, not exactly, but a lot of the issues I was going through, he would kind of speak directly to that. And while reading the book, I was being an active reader in the sense that I was kind of challenge him mentally on like just internally on some of the points he was making. Like I don't think that would work today, or I think that it's a little outdated. So I had the idea that I would love to like one day like write a book back to him or write some letters back to him, and that's why I think the inception of the my idea of blogging came from. And then when I got to Westbury, I got an internship with a local newspaper on Long Island, and she kind of let the head of the newspaper kind of let me have free reign on like op-ed pieces. Like I would cover some news topics and then some local news, and then she would let me have my way when it came to some of the articles I wanted to write. So that was the first time I actually got a chance to just unload all my thoughts onto a screen. And prior to that, I wasn't really into it. I was always a strong writer though, but I wasn't into like just writing my thoughts down. And then I joined the Westbury newspaper. Same thing. I was like, I actually got the bug for it. So when I got the idea to start the blog, it was going to be, like I said, the original idea of just kind of writing back to Hill Harper. But then I felt like that kind of limited what I wanted to say, right? Yeah. So I just want to write. So the idea Urban X came by because I was having a conversation with my brother and my mom, and my brother and I, we obviously grew up in the same house, and you would think we have the exact same experiences. We have same parents, same house, but our experiences were totally different, and it bugged my mother out. It bugged it kind of we all were just like, wow, okay. And it was interesting. So I said, okay, Urban Experience. I'm talking to my dad about it, and he was, that's kind of a long name. I was like, yeah, it is. And then he's like, how about Urban X, like standing for experience in the unknown, because everybody's experience is different, and mine is not exclusive to everything else and to anybody else's experience. So that's how that came about.
So for people who haven't seen your YouTube channel or heard your podcast or read any of your blogs, what can they see on Urban X?
I would say they can see a different perspective. I try to, even before when it was just a blog, when it was just a YouTube channel, or like when it became like the whole media platform, I always try to talk about my experiences from a different perspective, not always just in the moment. Because at first, like even now, I wasn't trying to chase, I guess, status or being viral, because a lot of people they created names for themselves off of their blogs, and I didn't necessarily want that. So I always wanted to tell my truth. So when I would talk about a situation, I would literally try to see all angles around it, and that's probably why people take to the blog or take to the podcast now, is because like we try to just give a different perspective, not always what you expect. A lot of people when they meet me, a lot of my friends, or like when they meet me, they say like I'm different from what they expected. Like you said, like I'm a nerd, but back in my neighborhood, some people don't know me that way at all. You know what I mean? Some people just know me as like I'm to myself. Some people, again, you know, there's other people who don't know me like that either. So I try to give a more well-rounded idea of who I am through my writing, and even on the podcast, that's what that's the goal.
I think that's really awesome. And one thing that I really want to know is, you speak a lot about what's going on in our society, especially, among Black people and our experiences and racism. And you just really delve into everything. And I think it's needed. But as a young Black man, you literally face struggle just because of the color of your skin, right? And we hear and we see stories like Ahmaud Arbery, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, and just yesterday, George Floyd. And so it's like when you hear these stories, when you see it, it can really allow you to feel limited. It can allow you to feel restricted. It can allow you to feel as if your voice isn't heard or doesn't matter. So how do you maintain the strength, to continue to speak on these issues and to create these platforms without feeling as if there's no hope or as if it doesn't matter, like there is no change?
So I think one of the advantages I have is that because like you said, I did study history in college, so I always try to give not the whole story, I would say, but I always try to give like a different angle on it. So I don't want to come when so many situations happen. Again, I don't want to talk about it like an academic, because I do have a history background. I don't want to talk about it like I'm talking down, or I don't want to talk about it like I'm being emotional about it either, because
Right.
that can happen, especially now. Like there's a lot of people right now who are going through it, and I had to step off social media right now because like it's just too much. To not be afraid to talk, I think the way I do it is on my blog. If I'm writing about something, I'm writing from the sense that I'm just talking to myself. I'm not trying to convince anybody that my feelings are right, that there's a wrong about the situation. I'm talking to myself. Like I know what I feel.
Right.
And I know what I feel is not right or wrong in anybody's eyes. It just is. You know what I mean? It's not. I'm not trying to convince anybody, and I think that's one of the main things. I think when people are trying to convince their peers or convince somebody else that what's happening is wrong, and then they don't get that reaction, it can cause more. It can feel like nobody's hearing you. So I think if you one of the big things is trying to find in yourself. You know what I mean? Understand how you feel and try to work through those thoughts and those feelings yourself. I think that's one of the main things for me that's worked.
I think that it's important, as we're speaking about outlets for. You said something very great, where it's like you're writing to yourself, right? You're not trying to convince anyone. And I think that when we are experiencing everything that we are, it can be easy first to feel like, you know what, what's the point in speaking up? What's the point in saying how I feel? What's the point of, you know, nothing's changed, right? Or it's just still the same thing. Yeah.
I think one of the reasons that is a big factor now is because social media has allowed everybody to have an opinion on things. So sometimes you can feel like you're screaming into an empty hallway about what's going on. Like Twitter, you just think like you want to get your feelings out, but it's drowned out. You feel like you're drowned out by everybody else. So one of the ways I try to just, I guess, detox is sometimes you have to step away from social media. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, seeing people, black men, black women just get killed on camera like that does something. A lot of people don't think it does, but I think it really does something to you. And then because now age of information, everything kind of comes out at the same time. Like, I feel like these last 2 months we've just gotten bombarded with just bad news all around, and it can feel overwhelming. So sometimes you have to step back. I know that can sound irresponsible, like you want to be up on current events, you want to be up on what's happening, but for you, for your mental health, I think that's one of the best things to do.
Right. You have to know when to kind of step away and regroup, and not that you're stepping away from the issue or that you don't care, but in order for you to bring about effective change, you want to be in the right mental space to do so. And I really appreciate everything that you have on Urban X. I feel like it's amazing, and even as we are seeing everything that's going on, to continue to use your voice, to continue to use your gifts, and to use, you know, everything that you've been able to bring to the table, because a lot of young black men, just black people in general, we need what you're bringing. So it is definitely discouraging, but we need what you have. So just really continue on in doing that. So this leads to the next point, which is having an outlet in writing, which you spoke about a little bit. But you recently, this year in January, you published your first book, Urban Xcellence, and I had the privilege to be part of this, and I thank you again. Just thank you. But this is really awesome. You want to keep this in your life. So tell us a little bit about what is the book about and what inspired you to write it.
So the book is about I interviewed 11 individuals about their stories and what they feel success means to them and how they are currently pursuing it. None of these stories are finished. A lot of these people are young. A lot of these people are still going through their grind, their struggles, and I wanted to be able to put that on paper so people can understand that while we do go through a lot of traumatic things during this experience in life, like we're going through a lot now, there is some hope, there is some light, and I wanted to detail those stories, but not in a way that shows like what we see on TV, like you have to be a millionaire to be considered a success, you have to do all these fantastical things. Sometimes it starts with you with a 6-year-old starting her own lemonade stand. It starts with a teacher in her school starting a club for young girls to mentor. It starts with a mother who had her baby early and didn't know what it takes to be a mother because she lost her own mom, and she wanted to build a community of moms. So I wanted to be able to tell these rounded stories of everybody within this, the community. There is some great news out there, and I think a lot of times, in the struggle, we can always harp on the negative, and it's easy because the negative is what gets attention. But I think positivity is just a way stronger emotion, and I think that just works better.
Yes, absolutely. And I am very proud of you. I'm blown away. And this, exactly what you said, is the reason why I love to do these interviews. And, when I started my blog a few years ago in college, I'm like, I want people to see that we are doing positive things, that there's so many people, making a change. There's so many people being impactful within their community. So that's really awesome. And I want to know, writing is such a personal experience, and this is for the whole entire world to see, right? Like, this is your thoughts. These are things that you've said, and people will have their opinions, and people will probably disagree or not like it. So what were some fears that you had in writing this, if you had any? And if you did, how did you overcome the fear?
Oh, I think just natural insecurity of something you created, just putting it out to the world. Like I got used to it a little bit because of the blog. The blog came first. The blog came 3 years before the book, so I was able to get used to people judging my work, just reading my work. But when I first started the blog, it was tough. Like I wanted to just like post it, close the laptop, lock myself in the room, and not get any criticism. But you get used to the criticism, you get used to people sharing their input, and I think it's better, just from a writing standpoint, just from a creative standpoint, it's cool for people to just see it and get an understanding. So but it was also nerve-wracking because this was something that I wanted to do for a long time. The blog came about because I wanted to write a book, and that was the idea. That was the first idea around it. So now that I'm actually writing the book, this is what this whole platform started from. Like, it's here now, and I was just nervous. I was also nervous of what the people in the book were gonna think. From their stories, I'm just like, I hope I did the stories justice. Like, I was more nervous for the people in the book. I wanted to make sure, like, I didn't put anything too crazy, or I just, I misread a point they were trying to make. I didn't want to, input my own perspective in it too much, but that was really it. I was ready, for the world to see it, so it wasn't too crazy.
What is one message that you would want people to know based on your book? Like, reading this, what would you want them to learn from this book? What message would you want them to take away from reading Urban Xcellence?
The main message I want people to get from Urban Xcellence is that your journey is your journey. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's. The mistakes you make are yours. Like, own them. Like, your successes, own them. You don't have to prove anything to anybody else but you, and your version of success is literally your version of success. And I think we should find pride in that. I think we should, see that as an accomplishment itself, that we kind of just own our own, greatness.
So I know comparison can be something that can withhold people from pursuing their outlets, especially if they're putting it on a platform or if they're writing a book, right? Because there's one thing to journal on your own, but it's different when you're having a platform. Do you ever feel as if you're hesitant to put things out there because it's already been done? Because I know that's a fear a lot of people may have.
Oh, for sure. Like, I'm human. Like, there's always that that thought, like, oh, he has a podcast, he's doing, like, his numbers, his views count, things like subscribers and things like that, or this person put out a book, they sold this amount of it's always some sort of that. But like we said, like, I think this comparison itself kind of steals your own joy, and takes fun out of your own process. That's why, like I said, like, your journey is your journey. Your podcast might be talking about something totally different from hers, she does makeup, and a lot of people are interested in that. Like, you have to figure out, from a creative standpoint, you have to figure out your niche, try to build your tribe. And I think, again, that's empowering in itself, like finding people who just rock with you.
Yeah.
You mean, you're not worried about what that podcast, so you don't know that podcast could have been around for 10 years and they built a cult following, and you're just starting out, and you think that, like, my content is great, why is nobody watching? Instead of doing that, you should be trying to hone in on what you do, hone in on your audience, and I feel like you'll be happier for that alone.
On my channel, I speak a lot about living fearlessly, living boldly. So what advice or words of encouragement would you give to young Black men who feel as if they're not comfortable creating an outlet for themselves, or they're not confident in the outlets that they do have? What advice would you give them?
Oh, so advice I've always lived by is that everybody starts from the same spot at some point. You know what I mean? And everybody has this. We're human, so not. I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people you admire, a lot of people you look up to, have had some of the same insecurities. They've hit some of the same roadblocks. I think you should find comfort in that as well. Like everything is not exclusive to you. When like you said something earlier, like it's already been done. I think you should find comfort in that as well. Like, okay, I'm not if this doesn't work out, it's not just a Malcolm thing, it's not just a Maisha thing that it's just happening to. I feel like you should find, because like I said, like I played football, and some days it just would, during like conditioning or something, I just wouldn't be having a good day, but then I would look over at my teammate, they're going through the same thing, and that would push me to go through. So one of the main reasons why like in my book, I interviewed different people because I just wanted to show that we're all different, but at the same, we all kind of have this. You can find yourself in one of these stories. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can find an experience like, oh, that happened to me, or that. Like I was telling somebody recently that every time like I kind of go through the book, I find a different story that it just resonates with me more in a different, like at a different period of time, and I think that'll probably be my word of encouragement. Just find comfort in that everything is not happening to you exclusively. Everybody has the same, not the same, because that's the whole point, but everybody struggles differently. So don't feel bad about yours.
So we've spoken about all of your different outlets, writing, reading. I know you do a lot of reading, your podcast, your urban TV, just all of those things. Do you feel as if that's contributed to you maintaining your mental health in any way?
Sure, like 1,000%. It's days like today, like I have a podcast today, and I cannot wait to talk about like this George Floyd situation, because I've been seeing it for days, and I just kind of I'm grateful that I have an outlet to get it out to. But there's some things like I don't want to talk about on the podcast, and I won't talk about it on the podcast. So I write, I journal when I can. I can get more consistent with that, but I do journal when I can. Because I have like me personally, I have an issue. When I have a problem with something, I usually kind of hold it in. And this is with my parents, relationships. I kind of just leave stuff to myself because I just want to just handle it on my own. I don't like sometimes talking it out with people. But again, that's not healthy. You know what I mean? Like when you hold things in, it can make you sick. So having something like you work out, like if you have just an outlet to just get it out, and then I think you'll be better off.
That's a must. Awesome. Well, Malcolm, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Amazing. I can't wait to hear this interview. I know many people will be inspired and encouraged by it. And can you just let the people know where they can find you on social media, where they can purchase your book and your merch and all of that?
So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at top_XTH on both. And if you want to follow the Urban X platform, it's Urban X _NYC on Twitter and Instagram. The website is urbanx.nyc. The YouTube channel is Urban X TV. And you can purchase the book on the website, or you can go to Amazon and type in Urban Xcellence with an X. And that's it.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, Malcolm. Thank you all for watching, and remember to live fearlessly.